Guys, it is opening night. We've got two big games tonight. The champs will raise a banner, and the Lakers will take to the floor in a lot of anticipation. Will we see Bronny and LeBron? Now, here's the thing. Bronny said he doesn't know, obviously doesn't know if he's going to get any playing time. But the interesting thing is that both Ken Griffey Jr. and Sr. will be in attendance. Do you think we actually see this experiment come to life on the floor tonight, Chandler?
I do. And I think that's the smart thing to do for the rest of the season, just kind of address this elephant in the room. And I think obviously it's got to be some sort of a close game. If it's a blowout, if it's get the games out of hand early, I think either way you can try to find a place to put him in. Now, during preseason, JJ kind of played him in the beginning of that second quarter. So I think that would be the ideal spot for him. But I think just to end all this anticipation, and it's not like you're starting him. It's not like you have to play him at the end of the game. Play him spot minutes and see what happens. And I think just to relieve all the pressure, not even just from the media and from the fans and all the hoopla that comes with this, but the pressure for the kid, the pressure for Bronny James to get that out of the way, make history, play with your dad, which is really cool. And the fact that Ken Griffey Jr. and Sr. are going to be there, it's awesome. You can't not play him with the once I heard Griffey's were going there, I was like, okay. He's got to play. He's got to play, or it's just rude. So I think this would kind of set the tone for their season, just to eliminate any of this circus that's going to follow them till he plays. Just end it tonight and get it over with.
But what if it's a close game? Like,
play him early. Play him early.
It'll be the end of the first quarter, or it'll be the top of the second quarter. You know, you give them a chance to play, you know, those 3-4 minutes until you bring back the starting guard or whatever. But like Chandler said, tonight is the night. You don't want this thing to linger on. Like, let's say we go 20 games in and he's yet to play with LeBron. Then you continue on the media circus of when will it happen? When will it happen? And it's too many what ifs. What if LeBron James rolls an ankle? What if he has something, God willing, knock on wood, and he goes out? And now you never have that. Now you never have the opportunity to show that moment, to have the fans see that, and have both of those guys have that experience together. Tonight is going to be the best opportunity for them to do that. I think they should. It is super cool. It should be something to be celebrated. You know how we are in the media. We're going to find something to criticize. But every father in the world out there, take your personal opinions out of it. Think about what you would do if you were in this scenario. This should be something that's celebrated. This should be something that we look at as cool and mind-blowing. And it's another notch on the belt of LeBron James and the things that he's been able to accomplish in the league. So, you know, shout out to him and Bronny. I look forward to seeing that tonight.
Can I play devil's advocate for 1 second? Let's say it's a close game. I mean, these games now matter. So let's just say this is a close game, that it's a moment, because JJ Redick is also, for the first time out there, having to prove who he is as an NBA coach. And he puts him in, and it's an absolute disaster. Like, you're starting the season off, JJ is, with that kind of heat.
Well, Beadle, they're not going to go on a 10-0 run in 3 seconds because of Bronny James. They could, you know. And listen, it's going to be 4 other pros on the court, and also it's still going to be LeBron James on the basketball court.
Fair.
He's still going to be there. So I don't see disaster striking here. It hadn't struck in the preseason. You know, we hadn't seen it happen when he's on the floor in the preseason. It's like I said, it's a lot of what ifs. There's a lot of different variables. Again, this is something to be celebrated. It'll be okay. Let's get this party started. Let's get it over with, and let's start the season.
And I do think the earlier the better for both parties, for the team, for the other players on the roster, for LeBron, for Bronny, for the media, for everybody. Like Lou said, it's not like you're going to plug this kid in and they're going to go bonkers and go on a 12-0 run. If they do call a timeout and get him out and then still move on from there, like it's not that big of a deal to throw him in there early. Now, if you wait and and it's a close game and then you don't, then again, then the circus is going to continue to follow you, and then there are going to be questions. When is it going to happen? The earlier, the better. Get it over with. Pull the Band-Aid off, and who knows? Maybe he shocks everybody and you know, contributes and has some value.
3 minutes, Chandler.
Yeah, I mean, listen,
you know how it goes.
Yeah, he's going to be a little stiff, but his preseason wasn't awesome, but he showed some flashes, but he didn't shoot the ball well. But again, play him for 2-3 minutes, see what happens. Who knows? Maybe he surprises everybody. Maybe he plays good. Maybe he can find another stint later in the game, but get it done early, please.
I mean, his last game in the preseason wasn't bad. It's just funny to think that there's like a mandate somewhere in the organization where they're like, whatever you do, you just got to get him in for a few minutes tonight so we can get this roller coaster started, which is funny to even think about because, again, real game. And there have been a whole bunch of, you know how this time of season is, top 100 player rankings. They exist all over the place. And right now, LeBron's still ahead of Anthony Edwards on basically all of them. But I ask you this, Lou, are we looking possibly at the season in which Anthony Edwards becomes that guy and passes LeBron on these lists?
To me, that's an interesting question, right, Beadle? Like as far as what points, win totals, what are we? I'm curious to know what are we talking about? Bron is grandfathered in at this point. You know, you don't compare up and coming artists to Jay-Z. You know, you just don't do it. There's so much work that's been put in. There's so many things that's been accomplished over 2 decades worth of work. And we can even go back to high school. This is a 25-year run we're looking at. So is Ant-Man one of the new young up and coming guys in the league? Absolutely. But you just don't compare him to somebody who's been in the league 20 plus years, a champion in 3 different places, the league's leader scorer. You don't compare him to that. You give him an opportunity to pave his own way and create his own lane. You know, the amount of work that LeBron's been able to put in is just is uncomparable to anybody that's left in the league at this point, especially one of our young guns and our up and coming guys. So in what way does he become better than LeBron? In a single season? Sure, but nobody challenged Michael Jordan when he was on the Wizards. You know what I'm saying? At that point in his career, he was grandfathered in as the best player in the world. So that's still how I look at LeBron James. I look at Ant-Man as one of the next up-and-coming young stars. But in what scenario does he becomes better than LeBron James this year?
Yeah, and it's a fun debate. But what do we do? Is it for one game? Are these rankings for the full season? Obviously, for the future, anybody in their right mind is going to go with Anthony Edwards. For one game, who am I going to take? I'm probably still going to take LeBron James. So again, it's an interesting debate. And like Lou just said, it's silly to compare someone that's so up and coming and such a potential star for the next 10 years and somebody that's playing, you know, into his 40s. It's just, it's a fun debate, but it doesn't really make sense. But again, one game, season, whatever, they're both fantastic talents. But for a season, I'm taking Anthony Edwards. And obviously for the future, I'm taking Anthony Edwards. For one game tonight, sure. In the playoffs, I'm probably taking LeBron still, but it's a moot point. Like it's a silly argument.
By the way, shout out to all the folks that have it in them to put these player like 100. I don't have the attention span to do a list of 100
also,
players.
Also, not having like Kawhi and James Harden in the top 50 I saw and stuff. It's like, I get it. They're aging. I get it. They're hurt, but like, stop it. You mean to tell me Kawhi Leonard's not a top 50 player in the NBA? Like, enough.
Is it
top 50 now? Huh.
I don't care if it's top 50 now or top 50 for the future. Kawhi Leonard's in the top 50. Like, that is ridiculous.
Yeah, it's inconsistent. Like, you don't have James Harden in there because of age, but then we're having the debate if LeBron James is better than that. It's like, it's inconsistent. And I just don't have the patience or the gall to sit down and try to take 100 different people. I don't have
the gall.
Will saying the word gall was not on the board today.
No, I'm gonna drink.
I love it. That's unbelievable.
Well, that got me all messed up. Okay, let's talk Julius. By the way, like a lot of the Bronny talk, I get it, but there are some stars on the other side of this thing, and there were some big moves made, and Julius Randle has switched states and cities and teams, and we just don't really talk much about it. So I ask you, Chandler, in your estimation, how will he fit in with this Minnesota squad?
I think it's going to take time, and I am excited for Julius. This is a fresh start in a fresh city with a great, great supporting cast, a budding star, and actually not even a budding star, an absolute star already, and Anthony Edwards. So again, when you look at this on paper, I do worry about the spacing. Julius Randle is kind of an off-the-block, mid-range, post-up, aggressive, played bully ball. And Karl-Anthony Towns was a space-to-floor, pick-and-pop guy to kind of give their ISO star Anthony Edwards more room to work. How is Julius going to play off Rudy Gobert without being able to space the floor as much as Towns? So there are some questions with how this offense is going to flow, how the spacing is going to work. But Julius Randle's a dog, and he had a great stint in New York, and for whatever happened, and for him and getting a little bit of these tiffs with the fans and the media, And him moving on, I feel like almost is a good thing. I think his time kind of ran its course in New York, and but when you look back on it, I think he had an unbelievable time in New York. I think he kind of put his name on those multiple All-Stars, and now he's going to a team in another conference where he doesn't have to worry about competing and going through the Knicks in the playoffs. And he's on a really, really good team with a really, really good team coach with Chris Finch, who's offensive, defensive minded, and they're going to figure out a way to get the most out of him on the offensive end. So I'm excited for him. I think it might be a little bit of time. I don't think you can just throw him out there in that system and it looked perfect right away. It took time in Phoenix, takes time in all these other players with these great offensive players, but I think long term, I think they're going to be just fine. I think he's going to be extremely happy there in a new market too. He's not going to get crucified every bad game on the Minnesota Timberwolves like he did on the New York Knicks. So it's a whole different animal that he's dealing with, and I think that favors Julius Randle.
That is crazy to think about, just the sort of off the court vibes of a new, completely different fresh market.
He can play like shit. He can play like shit. We're not going to talk about it the next day. If he did it at New York, we're going to criticize him heavily.
Yep, that's how it goes.